Caving, or spelunking, is the act of exploring cave systems as a recreational activity. Although one can enjoy the feeling of adventure and exploring the unknown, there have been many cases where people have gotten stuck or lost and never came back. The story we will go over today is one of those cases. 5 college students entered a cave, but only 4 returned. They claim one of them couldn't make it back due to an accident, but the circumstances raised suspicions. Was it really an innocent accident, or was there something more sinister at play? This is the case of the underground lake. The event takes place on January 5th, 2008. 5 college students who were members of a caving club decide to go exploring. The cave they went into that day was 1,600 meters, or about a mile long. And at the very end of the cave there was an underground lake, 20 meters in diameter, and an estimated depth of 30 meters. At around 6 p.m., the local police receive a call from the group, who claims one of their members drowned in the lake at the end of the cave. Rescue operations are launched immediately, but they struggle to reach the lake due to the difficult terrain of the cave. A member of the rescue team, a veteran with over 15 years of experience in cave rescues, claimed that this was one of the most difficult caves he had ever been in. They eventually do reach the underground lake, but could not find anyone there. They could not bring diving gear due to the narrow corridors of the cave. But they spent another 5 days searching every branch of the cave, just in case the college student had made it out of the lake and had gotten lost trying to find the exit. But nothing was found and the search was called off after a week. The surviving students claim that once the group got there, the young man who drowned attempted to swim to the far end of the lake. They heard him yell out, "I made it," when he reached the far end, but they lost sight of him and he never made it back. They waited around for a while, but presumed he had drowned and decided to climb out of the cave to call for help. The police bought their story, and this case was closed as an accidental drowning. But almost immediately, internet forums began raising suspicions. The group claims they lost sight of him while he was swimming, but is that even possible? This lake was only 20 meters in diameter. An Olympic swimming pool is 25 by 50 meters, so this lake was less than half that size. If I were in that situation and my friend was swimming in some lake deep underground, I would make very sure to have my flashlight on him until he got out, and would definitely not lose sight of him in a lake this small. The group also claims that they didn't hear any splashing or calls for help. So if we are to believe their story, all 4 of them lost sight of their friend in an area smaller than half an Olympic swimming pool. And the guy who drowned presumably sank below the surface without making a sound. It should also be noted that the group claims he dove into the lake without taking his clothes off. Anyone who has gone into a pool with their clothes on knows how clothing can soak up water and become extremely heavy. I would imagine if he was willing to take on the swimming challenge in an underground lake, he would have had some swimming experience, and should have known to take his clothes off before going in. Another factor people were quick to point out is that the student who drowned was literally abandoned. For someone to get into this lake, you would have to jump down 5 meters, and it would be near impossible to climb back up without someone to drop you a rope. In this case, all 4 of his friends left the scene, so even if he managed to get back to the starting point, he would not be able to get back up. If you were in this situation, wouldn't you leave 1 or 2 people behind, just in case he was still alive? Aside from that, the group had tied a piece of metal wire at the entrance of the cave, and had kept the wire running alongside them as they ventured deeper into this cave. This is a common practice in the realm of cave exploring, to make it easier to find your way out by following the wire back. In this case, the group had not only left the lake, but also collected the wire that leads to the exit. So even if the young man who drowned somehow managed to get out of the lake, it would be difficult for him to find a way out of the cave itself. It was almost as if they were certain he would not be coming back. Finally, I would like to point out that his body was never found. People who drown will start to decompose, causing a buildup of gas, resulting in their bodies floating to the surface within a few days. In this case, the rescue party searched the cave for a total of 6 days, checking the lake every day, but the body never came up to the surface. As this case began to draw attention on online forums, a few peculiar things take place. First, the homepage of the cave exploration club they were a part of originally had a list of members, but for some reason the names of the 5 members involved in this case were removed. Second, the social media page of the young man who drowned was edited. His profile, including his age, address, school, and self-introduction had been deleted, along with various posts he had made on that social media site. A keen netizen had taken screenshots of some of his posts before they were deleted, in which the young man who drowned claimed that he and his friends had regular drinking parties deep within the caves they would go explore. He himself was already dead, so someone else must have done the editing. How they got access to his account and why they deleted his profile and posts are a mystery to this day. The social media profiles of the other members involved in this case had been edited in a similar fashion, with their profile details and past posts being deleted. There are 2 main theories on what actually happened in this case. The first is that the young man had actually been killed by this group in a totally unrelated location, for an unknown reason. His body was buried somewhere, and this group used this story as a cover-up. This would explain why his body was never found, and why they didn't leave anyone behind at the scene. The more popular theory is that the 5 students had begun drinking alcohol once they got to the lake, and one of them in their drunken state decided it would be cool to take a swim. His lack of judgment due to being under the influence would explain why he didn't consider taking his clothes off. At some point he began to struggle, calling for help, but the other 4 were too scared to dive into the lake themselves. So they watched him drown, but told the police they had lost sight of him and didn't notice he was drowning. This would explain why everyone left the scene and collected the wire on their way out, because they literally watched him die, and knew he wouldn't be coming back. The reason they edited the social media profiles is to hide the fact that they had been irresponsibly drinking in potentially dangerous situations, as well as to prevent their personal details being spread all over the internet. As for why the body never surfaced, it is said that bodies who sink to more than 30 meters may stay there due to the water pressure. In this case, the lake was just around that threshold, so it is possible that his body just went too deep. This case was closed as an accident, and the cave has been blocked off since, so we will never know what really happened that day in a lake deep underground. Let me know what you think happened to him in the comments below. Thank you for watching until the end. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I'll see you next time.